what Rajaji called it, termed it, should come to an end as far as education is concerned. Only then it will be beneficial to the younger population of this country. The country is expanding, population is expanding. The growth is also taking place. In order to distribute this benefit of this growth to all the sections of the society, unless we give them higher education, quality higher education, it may be restricted to a few percentage of this population. So it is necessary, even if you take the socialist point of view, it is necessary that education should be provided to all. Now we are trying to halt education, contract education, in the name of social justice. Those who enter government institutions, they get free education or get the financial benefit. What about those who enter the private institutions? Of course, I was in government, in the parliament, assembly, cabinet, etc. for more than 30 years. So I know the problems of both government as well as the private sector. There are problems for the government. We have been talking about spending 6% of the GDP on education for the last 50 years, from Dr. Radhakrishnan Commission onwards. Still, we are unable to touch 4%. So it is the private sector which has to come to our rescue. But only thing is, which private sector? All of us are hearing private sector. Which private sector? Is it Indian private sector or foreign private sector? Because the government officials seem to think that the foreign universities, private university will come and solve the Indian problem. I don't think it will happen. And if at all foreign universities come, they will not come for charity to India. Why should they come? They would like to have their own profit or surplus. I don't know whether this is being thought of by the government. We have one of the best private sector in the world. When we went for liberalization, we were afraid that the Europeans and Americans will come and take over our companies. Now the Americans and Europeans are afraid that the Indian companies will take over their companies. We have a very good, efficient private sector. I want them to enter into education. They must be allowed to enter education. And the benefit should be there. It was pointed out earlier that if there is competition, quality will go up and cost of education will come down. Now we are restricting education. Because of the restriction, it happens all over the country. For medical education, take for medical, the example, medical education, we have only about 40,000 seats for a country of 120 crores. Whereas in engineering, we have crossed 12 lakhs or 13 lakhs of seats per year. It is only 40,000 medical seats. That's why you have to pay 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs. Is it because of our own policy? You must have competition. You must allow more private colleges to come into existence. And again, what is the need for this restriction? What is the need for this restriction and control? The 4 bills which is being introduced, they are trying to bring more restrictions on education. In our country, more restriction means more corruption. More corruption means more capitation. In order to bring reforms, we should bring reforms in academics. What is the reform we have brought so far in the government universities? I want to ask. The basic reforms in higher education is semester system, credit system, and continuous evaluation. We are still unable to implement this in Delhi University, the seat of power. What has the ministry done or the governments have done? Nothing. Still we are going to court for admissions. Why should we go to High Court and Supreme Court for admission into BCom and BSc? Because of the restrictive policy. This restriction will not enable these students to study. So we have to liberalize education, allow private sector to come, and they have to talk to them. So far, we meet the government only in lockouts. The private educational providers meet the governments either in the Supreme Court or in High Courts. We have never talked to each other. We have been pleading with the ministry. Let them talk to us, tell us the problems which they face, and we will also tell our problems. In fact, only once we had a meeting with urgency, about 5-6 years ago. Only then we pleaded with him that this deemed university should not be there, because deemed university never exists anywhere in the world except India. He agreed, appointed a committee, That committee went thoroughly into it and then recommended that deemed can be removed, all of them can be called universities. But all of a sudden we find under the new regulation, they say you should not call yourself university. The founder and chancellor cannot be, the founder cannot be the chancellor. Both of us have to be removed. What is the need? Who will come and invest? The vice chancellor, an academician, he cannot buy land, he cannot go for construction. And it was pointed out, you have to get Madras. I found that 14 no objection certificate has to be obtained. You know what is an NOC means? Yesterday I met somebody from one of the southern states. He is running a dental college. He wants to introduce a postgraduate course in a existing dental college. And he has to get a certificate from the state government. It's called essentiality certificate. And the state government asked him to give 4 crores to give a letter. NOC. This is the kind of corruption which we have. And we talk about reforms. Unless you get rid of corruption in higher education, other things cannot be done. We have to do it. It is possible. We can do it. And we should allow more competition between government and government, between government and private. Only then